see who's gonna be here. Oh, you know what I should do? I should check my. Just a second, guys. I gotta check and make sure I'm on the right Wi-Fi network. I am on the proper network. I gotta make coffee. Jeremy Russell, first person here. It is morning. I cannot argue. I got a lot of stuff done yesterday, guys, so. Morning. So you guys remember I told you all that there might be delays because I had stuff from Elijah Isham and stuff like that. The thing is, it took me so much less time than I actually thought it was going to. So with that being said, it's Thursday, the 20. Ooh, I got to do my payroll. I'm going to work on stuff today. I have a little bit of stuff that I need to clean up and do because I've got a bunch of stuff I need to work on. But the thing is, I don't know what the plan is for the weekend. This weekend is Memorial Day. I don't know. So I was going to contact a bunch of people and see. One guy already told me, he said, look, it's not a rush. I already did the refinish on that Ray Laconico. So that needs sharpened, and so does, is that 2 or 3? I don't want to fuck the coffee up. 1. 2, count with me. A 2. A 3. 3. I don't know if you guys remember that, the owl eating the, how many licks does it take to get the center of a Tootsie Pop? A 1, a 2, 3, crunch, 3. I'm in a goofy kind of mood tonight. I went over to Matt's yesterday afternoon. I'm not making a full pot. I'm only making enough just for me. Robert Ryan. Well, hello, sir. So I'm not making a lot of coffee, but so I got so much stuff done yesterday. But I didn't shoot a video and I did not clean up my neck beard like I intended to. So, yeah, you could go that way with it too. Well, I had to start cutting and limiting how much caffeine I have. Apparently, I turned into a maniac. So, I'm only making half a pot. I'm making a half pot. Plus I had leftover coffee that Yuka had made that I already had some of. I'm getting fucking old. Look at them lines. Weather is still kind of funky here. Well, I was at Matt's house last night. And it started raining so fucking hard that we were like, what is that sound? And we looked out his big picture window. It was raining super hard. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I talked to Nico and Bridget was in town. She was gonna pick up some of the stuff that I had finished for him. And he's like, are you still at home? I was like, no, I'm at Matt's. And he was like, oh, Bridget's stuck at a Starbucks and she was thinking about coming to where we were. And he was like, it's so close. He's saying it's closer to go to Matt's if you're at Matt's. And I was like, no, don't forget. Matt moved down. It's actually further from the shop to Matt's house now. And he was like, oh, fuck, that's right. So she just wanted some place that she could wait out the storm where she wasn't just sitting at a Starbucks. But the traffic to get back to where we were at the time that he called, it would have taken her hours, literally hours. I've seen it. I'll get Matt on record one of these times. When it rains, the traffic will go from taking you an hour to drive to a point to going to almost 2 hours. People do not know how to drive in the rain. And I don't get it because the roads out here are extremely grippy. It looks like they tore the asphalt off of the road with the machine and just left it that way. And I guess they do it because it gives better traction in the rain, but I was like, it doesn't fucking rain that often. So I got Nico's stuff done. I got Nico's dad's stuff done because it had been here for a while. No, I have not started doing heavy cutting with it yet. I don't have a bunch of stuff here that I can do heavy cutting on to see. But I mean, it's in my case right here. So that little experiment will probably start because I put a brand new edge on it. Well, I didn't put a brand new edge on it. That chip was so insignificant, it stropped out. I looked at it on the microscope and I was like, it's amazing what you can feel when you just take your thumbnail and just lightly touch it. You can feel things that you can't even see with the naked eye. Ones that are so insignificant, you can strop them out. But I looked at it under the microscope and I was like, wow, that's tiny. But the thing is, it's in the same general area as the last two. And then I got to find it. I'll put it in a picture. A guy sent me a picture of a Pilar, the CRKT Pilar that he was sharpening in D2. And literally, guys, all down the edge, there were cracks that went the entire bevel on both sides. They were cracks, not chips. They were cracked the entire edge bevel down. And the guy's like, I've sharpened knives on this edge. I can't remember if he said Edge Pro or Wicked Edge a lot of times. I never had that issue. And it's not like he was going real super thin or anything. He's like, I've been trying to sharpen them out. He's like, do you think you can fix it? And I was like, I don't know if I can fix it, but I would like to take a look at it. And I think he got a hold of, Knife Center or Blade HQ or something like that and talked to him about it. And I think they told him to contact CRKT. So, way to go, dummy. You pushed the wrong button and didn't start it. Yeah. The S90V ones, S30 they chip. S90 I don't think they do. But like I had one guy the guy that gave this knife to me, he had sharpened it back so thin, thinking that would do it. And I was like, if anything, that'd make it worse. But he had sharpened it down to a point where there wasn't a whole lot of blade left, and so they rebladed it for me. I'll just put that in my pocket today. That hasn't been out of the case since the last time I had it out when I did the video. So, give me a second. I'll show you guys what I'm going to try and work on today. Because I'm probably gonna. I told the wife I was gonna sharpen in the house today because it's not as windy, but still the reason behind it is it's windy and shit gets blown onto my stones and into my fucking sharpening reservoir, and I'm like, I can't really, it makes it difficult because then you have to do so much cleaning, and then you'll be sharpening and something will blow. It picks up road dirt and grit, and then I was doing it the other day, and I sharpen a knife, and I get up to like the 4,000 grit, and all of a sudden I hear it, and I look, and there's scratches in areas like heavy scratches, and I was like, it blew some dirt from somewhere. I'm literally maybe 100 yards from the freeway. And I'm like, that could be road grit that gets blown up in the air and then winds up blowing in on my stones and shit. It's a pain in the ass. But hang on a second, let me get the stuff. I'll show you what I did yesterday. Haha, you guys are gonna love one of these. One of these is great. So I'll show you that. I have the Isham, one of the Ishams that I sharpened. The Kaiser Sose. So we'll take a look at that because not to brag, but these things came out. Is this the one with the squared off point? That is. One of these, the point kept breaking off because the central, see that central line is really far over, but you can see I maintained that dagger edge in sharpening all the way up. So I finished the other two of these. This is the one that still has that squared off tip. I wanted to put a note in it for him. And it's 100% because, let's see, can I get it up here and show you? See how that central point, that central spine is way off center on this one? And same on both sides. And so what happened was that screwed up the edge profiles on both sides. That reminds me, I need to put this on Do Not Disturb. It screwed up the edge profile on both sides, and it made that square tip. And I told Elijah, I was like, there's nothing I can do about that. It's the way this one was grounded. It's the only one that I was not able to maintain that super needle point on. And then I still have a little bit of cleanup stuff to do. I've got to clean it up. S35 VN. So hang on a second, I forgot to do something. I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. So I finished the other two of these. I want to clean these up a little bit. These need a little bit of cleanup because I did a lot of sharpening on them. So there's a lot of nasty stuff that got built up in them. So put that one back. I did Nico's dad's kitchen knives because he left them here with me, his dad's kitchen knives, and those were kind of a rush. I did his giant mouse. I did these. I did a knife that actually got shipped. I shipped it yesterday. I put it out for the postman because the guy had paid extra and sent me a shipping label. He's like, look, as soon as it's done, I need it back. It's my work knife. I was like, roger that. So it went back. I did Nico's dad's shun that had some chipping on the edge. And now this is... Jim, be careful. So that was done. I did the paring knife, but I wrapped it all up. We're not gonna, but it looks just like the other one. And then Nico found an actual Archbishop, not a 2.0, and had Elliot, he found the parts. Like everybody was like, there's no more parts for the Archbishop. There are not. And Nico's like, can I look around? If I find them, will you build it for me and then carve it? And Elliot was like, yeah, sure. And Nico went through and organized all the extra parts and found a viable blade and 2 scales. And Elliot made this. It looks like the alien. This is the most Geiger-esque one that like looks like the alien itself. So I finished sharpening this one for him because I wanted to get this stuff done because Bridget was in town and she was gonna pick them up, but that didn't happen. He even carved the opening and the pocket clip. So that was done. And then, yeah, so I sharpened that other stuff for that guy and got it shipped out. It had a prepaid label, so I was able to just put it out when the postman came. I caught the postman and handed it off to him. Then I went to Matt's house and wound up staying there for a while. But today's gonna be a lighter day because I have got other things that I have to do. But I am gonna work on, I'm pretty much caught up. So if you guys have stuff here, the only thing that might be a delay is refinishing because it is Memorial Day weekend and I don't know what my military friends are planning. I don't know what my wife is planning. There's a good chance that, yeah, yours got done. Yours is done and sharpened. It'll go out probably tomorrow with Isham stuff. Your stuff will all go out. So, you wanna see it with the edge on it? So I put a full convex on and I rectified a little bit. I could not fix, that was so off center. The edge was so off center that I just couldn't I didn't want to take any more material off your knife than I already had, trying to rectify that angle. So over progressive sharpenings, you should be able to, if you're doing it on your own, you should be able to walk that point back to center. And then this thing is so hard to get centered. It doesn't want to center. No. No, because here's the thing. It takes so long to make handles. If I'm making something like that as a custom thing, that I'm not making a knife to go with it, that I already, I would have to drill out pins, all that shit. You're looking probably at the cost of the knife for me to make handles. This is, people don't understand. I'm not a handle maker. I'm not a knife maker. I make knives as a hobby. But it's not something I will do. I might offer making handles for the Hornets, but the fact is there's not enough money in making a set of handles to make it worth even doing it. Because I can't charge. I mean, no one would want to pay what it's going to cost to make a set of handles for it, because I would have to charge by the time that's there. Because the whole thing is, if I don't charge, let's put it this way, I figured it up. There's times where I'm actually losing money by doing some of the refinishes that I do. Because when you figure I have to drive 32, it really doesn't matter. I'm not gonna make handles. I'm sorry, it's just, even doing refinishing, unless I'm doing a bunch of it, I'm actually losing money by making that trip up there. If I'm only doing one knife, because it'll take me all day sometimes to get a knife apart, get it ready, get it all put together, get the colors to match from side to side, get the pocket clip to match, get the ceramic on, and I'm charging like 150 bucks. I could make that at my workbench in 2 hours. But I would spend an entire 8-hour day up there. To make handles, it would take me to get the material, thin it out, get it to the right thickness, chamfer it all down so it's comfortable, all that stuff. And I have to do that after hours because Chris and Elliot do not like the smell of when I'm grinding G10. So I would have to do it in the evenings. So, I mean, I would make what's it want to be, a 36-mile round trip drive to go up, and I'd have to go on several occasions because I can't, get it all done in one evening. It'd be $300-400 for me to make a set of handles for somebody's knife. It just would be. It's such a pain in the ass. That's why custom makers, I understand why custom makers charge as much as they do. I only charge what I need to for those knives just to make them. It's paying for belts and the material for handles and stuff like that. I don't make any money when I make a knife. I just enjoy doing it. I mean, if I get a big batch of, oh, that's right, I gotta get a hold of that guy. If I get a big batch of the neck knives, yeah, I could make money on a big batch of neck knives because I can do it all in at the same time. I'm not making handles, I'm not doing shit like that. And I can heat treat 4 or 5 of them at a time. I can do 2 days of heat treat, 1 day heat treat with one batch, start working on the other ones, and then, if you guys know this, there's not a lot of money in making knives unless you can sell your design to a production company. Oh, that was a good one. So, no, that's what I got done yesterday. Today, I'm gonna work on the stuff that's remaining. I've got a Rasanti that I have to sharpen and try and do a spot treatment on, but it's an integral. I'm gonna see how hard it's gonna be to get it apart and actually do the spot treatment on it. And then I've got a Laconico to sharpen, and then I'm gonna start breaking into David's stuff. And so once I get into David's stuff, that's gonna be a lot of refinish, and that's why I wanna see what the plan is. And I wanna talk to him. I was like, this weekend might not be a working weekend. We may be going to the county fair with the wife and kid. I've got to spend some time with them because they leave for Japan before too much longer. And on top of that, we're worried about my sister-in-law. She's still in the hospital from her surgery and she's having problems. So they took out the section of her esophagus where she had the cancer. They took it out and then they just extended her stomach up to tie it in. And so the problem is now she's having a real hard time eating. And they think she might have pneumonia. So my wife is really worried about that. So, you know, when your wife is having stuff like that go on, it really affects everything. When you're in-laws and everything. Hang on a second. I don't know what's going on with this. Have you guys noticed? I don't know what's going on with my iPhone, but I'll set my screen brightness to the highest level and then it'll drop down. I roll it back down, it doesn't change, and it won't go back up to the height, to the brightness I want it. It happens all the time when I'm trying to watch TV or video. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with the backlight? So let's try this again. It didn't change. It won't go to 100% brightness. I don't know if it's what's going on. Hang on a second, guys. Let me check something. This is a brand new one. They replaced it. This is a new one they replaced it with. I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm just going to have to just clear everything off of it, all the information, and then just go back fresh. And it might be something wrong with it might be a software issue. A software issue that there's a glitch tied into my backup. Because the thing is, I'm starting to have the same problems with this phone that I was having with the one that they replaced. It's got to be something that's in the backup, in the update, because there's no good reason for what it's doing. But hang on a second, my phone's getting hot. Yeah, the brightness doesn't change. It's at half brightness. You can scroll it down and the brightness stays, and then it starts to drop again. So I'm at halfway on the brightness. Oh, it's weird. This may be my last iPhone, but the fact is, the iPhone makes it so easy to do the YouTube stuff. The native apps that are on it just work really well. Me. What's up, Michael? Turn it down a little bit. I don't need to be able to see myself. It really doesn't matter. Keep from overheating my phone. That might be it. It might just be that it gets hot, because the fact is, this gets hot when you do the stream, because I've got the thing plugged in, but you're using the camera, you're using the YouTube app, you're using the screen, you're using a lot of the camera's memory and power. So that might be part of it, that it just, as a safeguard, that keeps you from burning your phone up, that it just drops the brightness to half. That does make sense. You guys want to see the Rasanti and the Laconico that I'm going to work on today? Because I need to put these back. Oh, and I got to get a hold of Ryan about the payment on his knives. Hang on. It's Rasanti, whatever. Josh, I'm a dumb hillbilly. You're not going to change. Hey, there it is. Forgot. There we go. That's how I feel so uncomfortable. So there's the Laconico, and it still needs cleaned because it's still got oil and stuff on it from the refinish, and I lubed all the bearings and everything, cleaned it up real good. But this is the Laconico. And so this needs sharpened. I did a refinish. It had some rust on the blade, some spotted rust. The pocket clip was real scratched up. So we did he just wanted it back to a blast and tumble, the way it came. And so we did a stone wash. Like I said, it just needs cleaned up. It's got some oil and stuff on it that got out when I was doing cleanup. I think it's got a little bit of blade play. I may have to, I'm gonna have to take it apart and clean it up after I sharpen it anyway. So there's that, there's the Laconico, but here is the Risenti. Is that better? And I like this one. Rock pattern everywhere. It's heavy forward. I think it would be a good chopper. But the nice thing is this is not got too much of a recurve. It's not going to be so hard to sharpen, but I have to recover the shoulder on this that somebody just rounded over. So that's, I told Anthony when he gave it to me, I was like, there's a chance it's going to be more than what we just, you know, than the estimate, because I have to, if I have to correct all, if it's that bad, you know, if it's going to take me a long time, I have to charge extra. So, I mean, you guys all understand that. The estimate is just strictly that, it's an estimate. But it's really wide on this side, really skinny on this side. Somebody went to town with it and didn't quite know how to sharpen it. I think that's a zirconium pocket clip. I think that's a Zirc clip. It kind of looks like it. Either that or it's been coated. What's up, Shadow? Coming in at the end. This isn't gonna be a long live feed unless you guys want to stick around for a little bit. I mean, it's only, I started early. I guess I could go a little bit longer. Well, not really. I didn't really start early. What's up, Austin? My neck's bothering me. I had to go get a haircut, just got back. You must be on the East Coast, because it's only 8:30 here. So, why is that? So guys, if you guys are trying to get in touch with me and call me and stuff like that, just, you gotta send an email. I was gonna tell you, you've got to send an email. That's about the only way you're getting in touch with me. I have gotten so many robot callers. Like, I just put my phone back on Do Not Disturb. I'm just gonna start leaving it that way. If you guys need to get a hold of me, email's the best way. Texting's not gonna work because I'm not gonna know who you are. What's up, David? I was just talking about your knives. So I have gotten to a point where I was getting ready to open the box of stuff you sent me and take a look at it so I can know, but there's a good chance, I don't know if I'm working this weekend. This weekend is Memorial Day weekend, so I don't know. Do I know anyone that does handles? No, I really don't. I don't follow that stuff. I'm sure that there's somebody out there that would make handles for it. CRKT offers different handles. If you want like a specific material, you might be able to just send it, or not CRKT, but Bark River. It was a Bark River, right? Was that the knife we were talking about, Bark River? Not CRKT, Bark River. Bark River offers different handle materials. I do know that. I know that you can order a knife with a Bark River, with a different handle. You may be able to reach out to them and say, hey, can I get some G10 or micarta handles for this? Is it because they're slippy? Are they just too slick? Because that might be an option that I might just be able to modify some handles that you already have. A lot of times, if you just blast. Genius Bark River. Yeah, I mean, you might want to be able to get a hold of them and say, hey, I want some rough G10, or I want some rough micarta. And the other option you've got is, if there's, depending, what are the handles that are made out of it? What are the handles made of now? Oh, you want a color change. Oh, they might do that too. Here's the thing, I only have black. I only do black handles. I can't, the reason being that I did do this green handles and brown and green. I had the vacuum set up for that glow in the dark fiberglass shit because it was just bad. But the thing is, like, some of the handle material when you're grinding it and shit like that, it just gets everywhere. And then there's red shit all over the shop, and Chris would have a fucking shit fit. Because you can't, it's just impossible to get it all cleaned up. Ken, where the fuck have you been? Tulsa, that's where he's been. It's like stepping back. Do they even have internet in Tulsa? It's like 1986 in Tulsa. They don't. Tulsa's like, I already got my samples. I got my production samples. I got my prototypes. I have to wait on them to start production before I get production samples. And like I said, they told me it was going to be, the last time I talked to they said it was going to be around 6 months before they were going to be able to start producing, because they have to clean up what they've got on their production line now to start producing these. So and they come with a fairly decent sheath, but I still like Matt's Armitage Carries. Yeah, once they start the production, then I'll get them in G10. I'm thinking about trying to make a handle for this for myself, for carry, because it's too thin for my hands. And so that would be something where I'm not getting paid for that. That's something that I'm gonna fuck around with. Kind of like, I mean, eventually I'm gonna get paid for this, but I did this during downtime. The I Am the Law bone cutter is what I'm gonna be calling it. No, not until they start. I don't get any more prototypes. Yeah, sheaths. That's what I'm telling you. Armitage Carry. Armitage Carry will make a sheath for anything. He makes wallets and shit too. If you've got something that needs a sheath, that's the go-to guy. That's who makes all of my sheaths for all of my knives, and he does an amazing job. It's the sheath and the knife go together so well with the ones that I've made that it's just. He made a sheath for Nico. Nico made a kitchen knife. He made a sheath for Nico, and the nice thing is all of his stuff is soft loop. He will put tech locks on them if you want them, but all of his stuff is soft loop and horizontal carry. But all the sheaths are also set for, yes, Kydex. They're also set for Molly gear, so you can put it on a vest on your Molly gear. So there's that. I'm hoping I gotta get a hold of Charles Anderson, not the Texas Charles Anderson, but the Sweden Charles Anderson, and find out. He had said he was ordering some knives, and I think I'm gonna do this as a giveaway just for fun. This is that Havoc skull knife. If you guys want a case, I think the LACO of a sheath is only thing keeping you from getting a scalp. His sheaths, he has a guy that makes sheaths for his knives. That whole thing, like I talked to Jim about it. That whole thing of his knives not having sheaths was because he just didn't have time. He didn't have time before the show, and I believe he said he provided everybody with the information for the sheath. And the whole thing was that he didn't charge. You know, there's an additional cost to that. So I think he said that he didn't charge that on those knives. So because he was basically saying, hey, look, I don't have a sheath for it, but you can get one from this guy. There's a lot of times that you get information, like I've said stuff on the channel, and then that someone has said, like somebody provides me a backstory about something, and I've said it on the channel, and then had someone that knows more about it tell me, he's like, no, look, here's the thing, this is what happened. I have email documentation. Like, I had one knife come that the guy was, yeah, it was probably one from a show where he just didn't have it. But like I said, I guarantee that if you want a sheath, I can't remember the guy that does leather, but I can ask Jim who does the leather sheaths for him. And then there's also, like I said, Matt at Armitage Carry can make fucking a sheath for anything, literally. It's too bad he doesn't, you know, it would be cool if he could make pistol sheaths. And then, like I said, depending on how the day plays out, I think I'm gonna do a video about this WE knife, the Integral. Man, it is so smooth. But I think it needs a little tight. Oh, it uses that weird one. Oh, it's autistic. I need to ask them. I need to talk to my point of contact at WE about. No, it doesn't have any lock rock. But when you hear that, that tells you that, like, it's still smooth. If you tighten it down, I guarantee it'll still be smooth. It's an Integral. It's not like you can over tighten a pivot. But what happens is the pivot gets loose, and then the bearings are able to rattle a little bit, and you can hear it when you disengage the lock. There's just a little bit of, like, if you hold, it's the bearings that rattle a little bit, and that's just a matter of tightening a pivot. It's no different than, like, yesterday I did the Sharp Maracas. I fixed the lock rock, or the lock slip, in my Master Blaster. I tried rotating the stop pin, and I thought, you know, because the stop pin does deform, and sometimes you can rotate that stop pin like a quarter turn and get a fresh spot. Well, that didn't do it. And then I was like, okay, and I checked the tightness screws for my lock bar insert, like I said, because like I said, lock slip, lock rocks, sometimes I made sure my pivot was tight. And I was like, okay, the only thing can be that there's just not a lock bar tension. And so I took it apart, you guys watched me, and I tightened that lock bar, and then it was gone. So it's fucking tight lock up like a fucking bank vault. And that's my fault, because I gotta do the same thing with that Ray Laconico. I can feel it that I didn't get enough lock bar tension on it, so I just gotta tighten it up a little bit. The motion of sharpening real quick and the slicing motion. What are you talking about? But like, the way I sharpen. So the way I sharpen, when you engage the stone, it's at this angle, and so it's cutting the lines this direction, because that's the direction most people cut. Your cutting motion is this way, so your sharpening motion should be the same way. If you're using a wicked edge, you're starting here and you're pushing up instead of starting here and drawing down. So if you're going this way, so now your serrations go this way, and it's gonna not want to bite as well when you cut this way, because the points are, it's like a unidirectional saw blade. And so when you come down like this and then come back, you're cutting those serrations in at the same angle. And so that's why I use a cutting and a stropping stroke, because the lines are going this way, which is the direction most people cut. So now if you're a guy that does a little push cut when they're doing things, then it would be advisable to have them go that way. And I can do it that way. It's just awkward. And so I use a cutting stroke and a stropping stroke. And part of that is because it allows me to not have to, if you maintain contact with the stone for the entire time you're working, you don't have to try to find an angle again. If you only do a cutting stroke and then you come back to the head of the stone and you do another cutting stroke, you gotta find that angle exactly the same way every time. Now I can do it, but it just makes more sense to keep it in contact with the stone, so I'm not trying to find the angle, and then I maximize my work effort because I have to go back in that motion anyway to get back to the heel. So why not make that work for me so that I'm taking off material this way and this way? And it just doubles it doubles the efficiency of what you're doing. It's the economy of motion. It's a military thing, economy of motion. How much can I get done with the least work? Because you have to. Economy of motion, it happens in firearms training, in combat. You want to have the least number of steps because the least number of steps makes it more efficient. And that's what you're aiming for, is economy of motion. I'm not wasting any energy. I'm doing everything to its maximum potential for a purpose. So cutting stroke, stropping stroke, cutting stroke, stropping stroke. Once I do, and I can hear that I've gotten it to a point where it's starting to apex, I'll do one more cutting stroke, and then I'll start on the other side. I don't do one to, one to one to make sure I've knocked the burr off, because the whole thing is, until you're up in those higher stones, it doesn't matter, because that next stroke is gonna just peel off and clean up. Even when you switch stones, people are like, oh, you should do one stroke to knock the burr off before you go to the next stone. I'm like, why? The next stone is gonna, so you just remember which I started on drawing towards myself, I stopped, I start this way on the next stone. No. No, this hand holds the stone, this hand does the work. Now, if I'm doing a Scandi every once in a while because your hands get tired, because that's a different kind of sharpening, it's not a convex. I will put the stones down. If I'm doing it on bench stones, I'll put it down and I'll work that way. What's up, Lionel? But that's the reason I sharpen the way I do. It's the economy of motion. This hand, so a guy played a cruel joke on people. These hands look identical, right? One's real smart. One couldn't make it out of kindergarten. So they look the same, but one is fucking retarded. One is the dumb kid that sat in the back of the class fucking drawing and swallowing his chewing gum. And you can see it when you tie your shoes. So if you're right-handed, the right hand does all the work and tells this one what to do. You're like, okay, I'm gonna make the boat, you hold this, just fucking hold it, I'm coming back around, and wrap around, and you hold it again. All right, now pull them both at the same fucking time, you just hold it. Yeah, like you can see it. Grandpa Stonebrook was not a normal person. Our grandfather could write his name with both hands. He could do anything left-handed that he could do right-handed. And he could do two things. He could do two things at once. And you know what, sis? I've thought about this a long time, and my buddy of mine is a doctor. And he's a doctor now. He went, after he got out of the Navy, he went he got his doctorate school, medical school. And he told me, he's like, I told him it's like that. He's like, do you ever have a bad accident? I was like, yeah, he had a motorcycle accident. It's the reason he got out of the Navy. He had a bad motorcycle accident. He was in the hospital. He screwed up vision in one of his eyes, and they told him he had to get out of the military. He's like, I'm wondering if he parted that center divide between the hemispheres of the brain. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, that's what makes you focus, and you have to do one thing. He said, because they're locked together. When you split that, there's times that people have that surgery that they have to have it. Yes. And he's like, and they're like, sometimes they will wake up and their left hand is doing something, or their hand will do shit. And their left hand is doing shit and they don't realize it because it's on its own. And he was like, I wonder if he just learned how to use both hemispheres of his brain independently and could do two things at once. Because you've seen him do it. Where you're like, how the fuck is he doing that? He'll be working on something over here and then he's over here doing something else. I'm like, I can't walk and chew fucking bubble gum at the same time. That man's doing two complex operations at the same time. And I mean, you saw him do it. Did you ever see him write his name, go in opposite directions, and then fold it together and it almost fucking matched? Yeah, he'd. Wow, I forget. Oh, he was doing something. It was at breakfast, and he was pouring orange juice and making a list, and then fucking, or he would write something like he would write his name and start at one point and go two directions and fold the paper, and it was almost identical. And that's like that's what I like. My buddy was like, yeah, he could mirror the writing. And when I say that, I don't mean he wrote his name with his right hand and then wrote his name with his left hand. He took two and wrote his name at the same fucking time. Like, and then would fold the paper over and it would look. Grandma told me that at one time he could write a poem with his left hand and write Bible verse with his right at the same time. Like his brain, like he could do two separate complex actions. So our grandfather was not just ambidextrous. He was a fucking mutant. Because as much as my grandfather didn't go to church, he fucking knew that Bible inside and out. Yeah. So I don't know if you heard it because I think that you and Dad had went somewhere. So it was me and Mom and the girl I was okay. So I brought a girl home from Japan that I had been dating, and she stayed with us for like a week, and she stayed in my room. And our grandfather came down to he's like, "Heard you brought a girl home with you," and I was like, "Yeah." And he looked at Mom and he's like, "How come the couch ain't made up?" And Mom's like, "Well, they're staying in Michael John's room." And Grandpa just looked at her and says, "I can't believe in your house," and then started to walk away. And he looked at me and he's like, I was like, "Grandpa, times have changed." And he looked at me and he goes, "Words in the Bible ain't changed." And I was like, oh, God damn it. You got nothing. You got no comeback. You're like, shit. The fucking old man shut me down again. Words in the Bible ain't changed. Don't think you come up to our house be like that. And I was like, all right. I mean, I thought about it real hard. Yeah, he won all of them. He fucking won them all. You couldn't outthink that old man. He fucking clever. He's clever. He was at the time I asked him, I was like, I asked him one time about if he ever thought about cheating on Grandma. They had been married for about 40 years or so at the time. And I asked him, I was like, "You never thought about cheating on Grandma?" He's like, "Nope." It's like, "You sure you never did it? You never cheated on Grandma? You never even thought about it?" He's like, "Nope." I said, "Well, how did you?" I was like, "How did you manage to go almost 50 years without even thinking about it?" He's like, "Come here." He took a match, he struck it, he put it on my arm. I was like, "Fuck." He was like, "Hell's a lot hotter than that." I was like, "Fuck me." That burned. That was it. That was his response. Struck a match, put it on my arm. I was like, "God damn it." He was like, "Hell's a lot hotter than that." Fuck. Yeah, I was gonna say, my grandmother was a rather sought after young woman. And my grandfather came back from World War II and proceeded to steal her from another gentleman that was courting her. And then I don't know if he really knew about it because I remember that Grandma talked about something. He ran into somebody and said something about like, he said something about like how his biggest regret was that he didn't try harder to get Grandma back from my grandpa. And Grandpa got mad. He was mad. They had been married for 40 some odd years and got mad about that. I can't remember how the whole story went. Mom told me about it. I was already in the Navy when I heard about it. And I was like, God damn. Because you look at your grandma, and I don't know if you guys look at your grandma the same way I do, but yeah, my grandfather kept 2 silver dollars that she gave him before he left for World War II. And he came back with 2 rings that he had made out of the wing of a Japanese Zero that had tried to that they had shot at and then kamikazed, missed the plane. The wing was laying on the deck, and he took the aluminum alloy that that Japanese Zero plane was made from. Yep. And made 2 rings out of it, one that fit him and one that fit her. And I've still got mine in the safe somewhere. Sarah has one of them and I have another one. And they are like, there's no weight to them. And you cannot, they are so hard. It's an aluminum alloy that they used in Japan to make those planes. And it was very inventive. They still use the same alloy to make the 1 yen coins. And they feel like plastic, but if you pick them up, you can't even get a bend in them. This is the hardest fucking aluminum I've ever seen in my life. And he was a deck gunner on that ship. And that's where he got his first Purple Heart, says, where he got through the arm. He got it through the arm, and then he got another one through somewhere. He wound up with 2. When I looked up his record, he wound up with 2. And it took a long time to find it because I was trying to find it for funeral, and I didn't find shit until after. I think I told you guys I think I sent it to you. He never got them. Well, it was in his record, but he never got them. It was in his record. He technically got them, but he never was awarded them. They're in what I could find of his record after the big fire at the records. Like, most of his record was gone. I found some of his campaign medals that some of the stuff I was able to find before his funeral were campaign medals and stuff like that. Well, I mean, it's a really difficult. It took years I still haven't gotten all the requests for information that I put out. It's just, the records are, he probably knew that he just would be tied down with that shit for so long. It's just almost impossible. But I've probably got record requests still, probably 5 or 6 of them that have not come back yet with anything. Well, not saying that it isn't a dick move, but you do have to pick your battles. Like, if you know you can't do something, then it's a good chance. That type of stuff is priceless, man. My dad's giving me stuff that I'd run into a fire to get. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any of the physical stuff. I just have some microfiche somewhere of some old records of grandfather, some campaign medals, the record entry of his injury and Purple Heart, and then the second injury. I don't remember what it was. I can't remember what the second one was. And then here's the thing. If he hadn't had that accident, we probably wouldn't be here. Because I have news for you. He loved the Navy. He probably would have. Well, a lot of that stuff, you've got to be a direct family member to even get. There's stuff that you can't, like, you can't put a request in unless you're a family member. You gotta have a specific tie and connection. Oh, fuck. I slept weird last night. My whole body hurts. It's between this weather and the way I slept. Everything hurts today. Oh, whoa. Did you hear that pop? That's an old back. Well, guys, yeah, I'm gonna try and get a video shot today. He lied about his age to join the Navy. We never knew exactly how old that man was. We couldn't tie down an actual date. He joined the Navy when he was 16. 15, 16, something like that. He joined the Navy. And he lied about his age. We couldn't ever tie down an actual birth date. Yeah, he couldn't remember. It got to the point he couldn't remember when he was fucking born because he had lied about it to get in the military and had to maintain that for so long. So sometime between 1917 and 1921. So that's the best we could come up with, but it could have been different. Well, hello, dog. Are you tired of being in the bedroom with the mother? What's going on? What are you doing? Oh, you came out because you're thirsty? Birth certificates were optional. Well, I mean, fuck, guys, I ain't gonna lie to you. I forget my daughter's birth. I don't remember the day. I don't forget the date, but I forget the year on a regular basis. Again, I've had a lot of pretty good head trauma over the course of these 45 years. Between going to MMA gym and getting kicked in the head and shit, being in the military and getting my head fucking busted on things, and the fact that I did a couple seasons of amateur rodeo and getting thrown and I busted my head a bunch, it's just, I'm surprised there's anything up here but beer, hops, and bong residue. Oh, so, well, guys, I'm gonna get off of here. It is 9:10. It's been an hour. I keep saying I'm gonna cut these back, but I enjoy doing these. I enjoy these morning live feeds. It gives me a time between. I wake up at 6 o'clock every morning. I start doing interactions on. I check my DMs. I check all that stuff. So, Ohio, Coshocton, Ohio. Kind of middle to the south, towards the east part of. My sister's a mod on Reddit. She actually knows the founders of Reddit. But yeah, I get up every morning and I send emails, and then I go through all of the previous day's YouTube comments, and then I check Instagram comments. And so by that time, it's time to take my daughter to school. Then I take a shower, and I check email again. I send out any responses, and then I go on PayPal and set up my payment back to myself and things like that, like any money that's come in. And then this morning I had to find, I actually wore out. I'm at the point where I have worn out my 2000 grit diamond matrix stone. I told the guy that makes them, I called him yesterday. I was like, I have worn that 2300 grit stone. He sent me one that had already been used. It was a prototype one. And I was like, he's like, well, I'll send you this one. And then he sent me the rest of the set. And I told him, I was like, I've worn it to where it's starting to chip at the corners from having to be dressed so many times. And he was like, wow, really? He's like, maybe that one. I was like, no, you got to understand, that thing has sharpened probably more knives in the time you've sent it to me than most people will ever sharpen on one of those stones in the entire time they own it. Like I'm not trying to say that I've got like a huge volume, but I guarantee that I sharpen more knives on those stones than most people will ever sharpen on those stones in the course of several years. And I've done it all in the course of several months because it's been busy. You know, you figure I'm sharpening at least 6 knives a day, at least 6 knives a day. Yesterday was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I sharpened 10 knives yesterday. And I did them all on those stones. So when you look at that kind of wear, you know, every day, except like maybe 1 or 2 days a week, that starts to, you know, that's a significant amount of having to redress those stones. But those stones definitely have lasted better than any stone I've ever had. They don't dish out. They wear nice and even, and they stay consistent. They don't break down anywhere near as bad as any other stone I've used. It's just that you can't use them on everything. I keep the aluminum oxides. I keep my diamonds. I keep my oil stones. I still have some ceramics because different steels require a different, some things require a different entire setup. So I just ordered one, and like they're $56 per stone. But the fact is, they are that fucking good that I bought another one. I was like, fuck it, I gotta get one. Because you can't jump from the 1,000 to the 4,000. And then from there, I take them up to, because that 4,000 actually is a better finish than the 8,000 grit stone I have out there. So, but I have a stone that's comparable that I'm using in the interim until the new one gets here. So guys, yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna do. I'm probably gonna get started on this video because it's still only 58 degrees outside. I kind of probably just wind up working a little bit later today, but like I said, I've got other stuff to do today, and I've got to get shit ready to ship out. So let's cut this, and I will talk to you guys later. I'll see you guys when I put up the video later. I might do a premiere, I don't know, but I said I was gonna do it yesterday, but I just ran out of time. So sorry, guys. Take it easy. If you like them, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give them a thumbs down. Tell me why you don't like it. YouTube video that I think you like, YouTube video that YouTube thinks you like, subscription link, and link to the Patreon if you choose. I may put my daughter's GoFundMe up in the description on this one if you guys want to try and help support